What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of NewJeans' new single album, How Sweet, featuring two songs, How Sweet and Bubblegum. This is the first release from NewJeans in about 10 months. It's been a long time already, but NewJeans is back, and of course, NewJeans, one of the most significant and popular and noteworthy K-pop groups of the fourth generation. They've had a really rapid rise and have made a lot of great music. I've been a huge fan of them to this point, so of course I'm eagerly anticipating any new music for them. Unfortunately, How Sweet is coming at a challenging time for the group, really due to no fault of the group itself, and I'll get into some of this label drama at the end, but let's just get into the music first. I think at this point with NewJeans, and especially if you're a big fan of them like me, the bar is high. They've made a lot of bangers, a lot of great songs, but due to their, Y2K aesthetic, kind of 90s R&B vibe, they've really paved a new way in terms of, modern K-pop sounds by very much looking inward with this youthful music that's still very much eschewing the more in vogue girl crush aesthetic that you get in a lot of K-pop right now. Again, they've made a lot of great songs. The last time they did a single album, a two-song drop, it was Ditto and OMG, two massive hits for them. OMG on my top 10 songs of 2023. Of course, 10 months ago on the Get Up EP, you had Big Song, Super Shy, their huge breakthrough song, of course, but also ETA, another banger. And of course, on the debut, they had Attention, HYBE Boy, and Cookie, three bangers. So, the bar is high. And to me, How Sweet doesn't quite compare to their past work. I think the song Bubblegum still really stands out as a strong NewJeans song, but when the bar is high and the hit rate is really strong, eventually you're not going to have songs that are quite as strong as the past work, and that's just bound to happen. It's not the end of the world, and it's really not the end of the world for NewJeans because they've already announced that two more songs are on the way soon. Two Japanese singles are coming out on June 21st, Supernatural and Right Now. I will, of course, be talking about those when they come out. With How Sweet, I think musically it at first I thought was a bit more interesting because Bubblegum, the music video actually came out a month ago, even though it didn't hit digital streaming platforms until today with the release here. So you heard Bubblegum, and Bubblegum on first listen didn't quite grab me, but this time around I actually think it's the better song. And that's because when I listen to How Sweet, those first verses, you have Heron and Danielle, they're fine. They sound okay. And then the Danielle refrain, it's kind of fun and a different affectation to that point in the song. Then you get the chorus of How Sweet. The chorus sounds good from Hayne and Danielle, but my issue with it is, don't you know how sweet it tastes? They immediately repeat that three times, and it really kind of kills the momentum of the chorus for me. Even if I think it sounds good, the mix is good, the tempo is strong. It's a weaker chorus for the NewJeans standard. It is what it is to me. It's just not quite there. The second verse, you have Heron again. I think Minji's pretty fun on that verse. The good karma line from her, the melody stands out. It's pretty nice. Ultimately, though, Hani only has one line at the end of that second verse. The bridge is a bit repetitive, doesn't really grab me. And then, yeah, you kind of repeat through the choruses again. Hani's not really a big part of that song. Clearly, to this point, Hani has been the most consistent vocal member of the group. She has often the best lines, some of the stickiest lyrics, and often is a big part of all the songs. Of course, I understand why they want to kind of spread the wealth and build up the rest of the group, but it did kind of stand out to me that nothing really popped for me, and that also coincided with a song where Hani isn't really doing a whole lot on her own. So it's fine. I don't think this song is bad per se. I did notice in the music video a really absurd Coca-Cola product placement. I didn't know they were still doing that after they literally made a whole sponsored song, which of course that's the actual worst NewJeans song is the Zero song. We don't have to talk about that. This song was a Danielle co-write. She's done that before. Also, I just want to shout out aesthetically, Hani rocking the short hair, definitely a big change. But then that brings us to the second song, Bubblegum, which again, I heard a month ago and I kind of dismissed it. I was like, it doesn't quite do it for me. I'll revisit it maybe. Then hearing it again today, I'm like, wow, wait, this song is super bouncy. I actually quite enjoy this. And I think that first verse grabs you because it's Hani and Hayne. They really know how to bring it. And the Heron refrain, I think, is really catchy. Minji kind of giving you a different cadence. I don't love the chorus, but I do think it's pretty catchy from Danny and Hani. Again, just quite bouncy. Another weak bridge on this song doesn't really do much for me. Verse 2, Minji and Danny, I think it's good. Danielle on the high note. She doesn't do that all that often, but that really stood out to me. I'd love to hear more of that in the future. And then you have Heron and Hani on the refrain. Solid song. Again, like NewJeans has a lot of bangers. Like this is going to be towards the bottom of the list. It's okay. But I do think this song has some replayability to it because it ultimately just kind of bounces and like that vibe that I think that easy melody that comes with the NewJeans sound very much present on a song like Bubblegum. So, I don't want to say I'm disappointed in the release. It's 2 songs. I definitely put more value on bigger projects. I guess once we hear the other 2 Japanese singles, we can analyze all 4 of the songs together and think about it that way, given they're coming out in such quick succession. They've also announced that NewJeans will be going on tour in 2025, which leads me to believe there's a chance they release more music in the fall. Of course, we still haven't had a full-length album from them, but we know one will be coming, so we'll see about that. But of course, I think that's going to be a massive tour, one of the bigger K-pop tours in a time when K-pop touring is very, very strong. So that'll be very exciting. I hope they do a lot of US shows because I would like to go. In conclusion, NewJeans' new single album, How Sweet, 2 songs, How Sweet and Bubblegum. It's not as strong as some of their past work, but again, that's a high bar to clear. NewJeans has been operating at such a high level, making such great songs that even if they make some songs that are just good or just okay, it's going to be a bit of a step down. To me, the song Bubblegum, which had been out before, on further review, I think the bouncy nature to it, stronger presence of Hani on the vocals compared to the song How Sweet. That's why Bubblegum to me stands out as a stronger song. To me, How Sweet itself doesn't really wow me as much as I want it to. It just doesn't have some pop moments, and the fact that the chorus has repetitive lines to it really kind of detracts it from me. So ultimately, it's not the most significant NewJeans release that we've gotten in the whirlwind 2 years they've been debuted. But again, that's okay. Looking forward to the 2 new Japanese singles in a month's time. NewJeans continue to dominate. And saying all that, it is quite interesting what has been going on over at their label parent company HYBE and what's been going on, with all the sub-labels. So one kind of off note, it is kind of peculiar that HYBE would, under Big Hit, of course, would release RM of BTS's second solo album the same day as 2 new NewJeans songs. Like, why would you kind of cannibalize each other, especially given the unsurprisingly strong popularity of RM? Like, why would you take attention away from your other newer group? Kind of a weird choice. Like, you could have just released one of these, next week. Like, it doesn't know what's the difference, right? I don't quite understand the choice there. But I think more interesting, more controversial has been what's been going on between NewJeans, sub-label Adore, and another HYBE sub-label, BFit Lab. BFit Lab, of course, the sub-label of NHYPEN, one of the biggest male K-pop groups we have right now. But also recently, BFit Lab debuted a new girl group, Illit, and they had some pretty strong success with their song Magnetic. And, the Adore and BFit Lab have basically been beefing over Illit, basically kind of, jacking the NewJeans vibe. And of course, NewJeans got a lot of attention, a lot of love for doing a sound that had not been active at all in K-pop. This Y2K youthful aesthetic, very much 90s R&B inspired, different from the rest of modern K-pop. And it is a bit curious that HYBE would then release another group under their umbrella that's kind of trying to jack the same thing. I would expect that from the other labels like JYP or YG or SM, for example. But to have it happen in your own house is a bit strange, and there's been a lot of back and forth now. Now there's actually a defamation lawsuit coming back towards Adore, and basically it's just not productive really to anyone. But I think more structurally, I do find it curious that you would try and debut another group doing something similar. I'll say to me, next time Illit releases a project, I'll talk about it, but I haven't really been wowed by the early stuff. I'll just leave it at that. But again, this kind of infighting, especially on a new group who's still coming into their own as public figures, it's not helpful. for any of them. And of course, it has nothing to do with the groups, right? This is really management issues. So you'd hope this would be resolved, but kind of unforeseen issues over at HYBE, which of course is, like the king of K-pop labels right now, just because of its massive scale. So more to come for sure. New headlines are coming out every week, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, it doesn't get in the way of the NewJeans momentum. I wouldn't expect it to, but we'll see what happens with that. And I'll be talking about the NewJeans Japanese singles next month, and next time Illit releases something, I'll talk about them too. But yeah, let me know, what did you think of the New Jeans single album, How Sweet? Which song did you like more? How would you compare it to their past work? Are you a little down on it like me? Either way, let me know. And for more K-pop reviews, more music reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.